Welcome to the Mindset, Money and Marketing podcast, hosted by me, Dean Seddon. This is the definitive podcast to help you build your brand, win clients, and dominate your market.
Hey everybody, it's Dean, and today we're going to talk about the 25-second LinkedIn secret. And it is the key to building your engagement. It is the key to being more visible. It's the key to getting your content seen by more of the right people. And, there's massive debate on LinkedIn about AI content and all this stuff, and how do you get more reach and impressions and all this kind of stuff. But it comes down to good old-fashioned human nature. And this 25-second secret, I've been teaching people about this primarily so that if they understand it, they can see how their content will get more visible and more engagement. You see, often people complain about reach and impressions on LinkedIn and why it's not working. And often there's nothing wrong with the content. There's nothing wrong with it. People will say, you need to add more value and stuff like that. It's total nonsense statements. But the key actually has nothing to do with that. For many, right, it's absolutely nothing to do with it. And when you realize what I'm going to share with you today, it's actually really going to change the way you shape your content. So let's kind of understand, before I give you all the details of what this 25-second secret is for LinkedIn, for your content, let me just explain how all social media works. Social media makes money from selling attention. That's what they do. That's how they make money. It doesn't matter how you skin it, subscriptions or what have you, they are selling attention. And so if you're not paying, you are the product. That's what you're being sold. Your eyeballs are being sold. So when it comes to creating your content, you have to think about what LinkedIn, what any social platform, to be honest, is looking for. But specifically LinkedIn has the simplest algorithm of all the platforms, I'd argue. It's probably the easiest place to get traction. LinkedIn's looking for something very, very straightforward. LinkedIn wants people to stay on the platform because that's how it makes money. LinkedIn is not going to help you drive people to your website. LinkedIn is not going to help you just get visible because you're a good person. LinkedIn's not going to get you visible because you've got good quality content. LinkedIn will make you visible. Your content will get distributed because it's furthering their business objectives. It suits them. And very often we miss this point and we look and go, how come I'm posting really good insights, really powerful, helpful things, and it's going nowhere? And then somebody posts random stuff and it seems to go nuts. Well, there is an element of optimization of what you're talking about and that kind of stuff. But fundamentally, there are people who are on LinkedIn blowing up with long form articles, and there are people blowing up with selfies. So it's not the format. It's not any of that stuff that's making it work. To get the distribution, you need to think about the 25-second secret. And I did this recently, and I said to people, I did a dummy example in a keynote I was doing, and I asked somebody to take a picture in the room, and I asked them to literally go and take a picture and put it up on LinkedIn. No, don't think about it. Don't optimize it. Just post with a couple of lines of text. And then I asked some of the audience, a small group of the audience, I asked them to go and find the post of that person and stare at it. Just stare at it. Just literally look at that post for at least 25 seconds. Within an hour and a half, that post had 3,500 impressions and like 80 odd likes and comments. Now, what is this 25-second secret? Somebody grilled me afterwards and said, why 25 seconds? And the honest answer is, it's not about 25 seconds. For you to get an impression on LinkedIn, it takes 3 seconds. And for every second you hold on to people after that point, the more visibility you get. Now, you can't make people comment on a post just because it's visible. That comes down to how you put the content together. But ultimately, if we optimize our content to keep people on it for longer, it gives us a chance that we will get more likes and more comments, which will obviously fuel the growth of the post. So I call this the 25-second secret. Can you get people to stay on your post for more than 25 seconds? And if you can pass that test, it's highly likely that your posts are going to do really, really well. So how do you do that? Well, first off, for most people, they don't master how to get people to stop scrolling past their posts. So they can use obscure imagery, which obviously confuses people. What you want to do is use selfies. They do very, very well at stopping people. Big, bold text stops people, telling people what the post is about. Provocative things stop people. But importantly, you want to make your post, your graphics that you may use, whether it be a video, whether it be an image, make them as tall as possible, as portrait as possible. So for those of you taking notes here, the optimum image size is 1080 pixels wide by 1350 pixels high. The taller your image, the more space it takes up on the feed and the harder it is to scroll past. Most people do a double scroll on their phone to get past a post if it's full height, so 1080 by 1350, or a video 1080 by 1920. So just having an image or a video that is taller will reduce the amount of people who scroll past your post. Now, if somebody stops at that point on your post, you've probably grabbed them for a couple of seconds, maybe 3 seconds, so you might get an impression. So just making it taller might get you more impressions. But what will extend that, what will get people to stay longer, is obviously when they stop scrolling and they look at the image, does that image intrigue them enough to expand the post and read the copy? But the first 3 lines of every post you write are previewed above the asset, and you get that little see more. My experience has been that if you get people to click that see more, you get another 10 or so seconds. So again, we've extended the stay, right? So as you can see here, it's relatively easy to get to, say, 10 to 13 seconds. That's just literally making bigger images, bolder statements, and optimizing the first 3 lines of the text, which we call the hook, to create that curiosity that makes people want to click the next bit. So we're up to about 13 seconds. Now we have to think about how do we get people to actually read the post in more detail. And this isn't about longer posts. It isn't about writing War and Peace. In fact, sometimes longer posts can be more off-putting because people go, it's too much, and move on. And I've got a demo I do in my workshops and when I do a keynote to get people to realize, wow, longer copy can actually turn people away. It's actually how you structure the copy. So what happens is when they click that see more, they expand the post and they start looking through. And what happens is we don't read it in full. We read the post. And so what we can do is we can actually highlight particular parts of the post where the most interesting bits are, the most exciting points you're going to make are. And what happens is people will catch that. That will catch their eye. I love using the right hand emoji, the right hand arrow, and the the green checkbox, because they stand out, they get your attention. So I love using them, and people lock onto them, read those, and if they find those valuable, they then start reading some of the post. And that can actually get you up to about 25 seconds. So where does this 25 seconds come from? Well, I made it up. I made it up after I've written something like, just for my own content, something like 8 years worth of daily posts. So what is that? That's 250, 400 posts times 8 years. I don't know what that is. 3,200 posts. So I've written 3,200 plus posts for myself. I used to run an agency writing content for companies. So I used to write posts every week. So this has just been my experience over years, that the longer you keep people on the post on any channel, the more likely you are to get more reach and visibility. And I've also noticed that most people's comments come if more visibility equals more comments. And you can start to diagnose. And this is something that, I've just been quite clinical about this, saying a taller image. Yeah. Certain types of imagery, big bold text, bright colors, they all draw attention. This is quite scientific. It's quite analytical. And if you start posting and thinking, how do I keep people on this post for more than 25 seconds? How do I keep it interesting for more than 25 seconds? That's the first part. Then the second part is studying your content, seeing what worked, and how do you optimize it then to get more reactions and comments. And that's not often about emotions and opinions. So there's the mechanics to get the 25 seconds. Then the next side of it is emotions and opinions that actually drive reactions and comments. But this is what I say to people, if you're struggling with engagement, visibility, and reach on LinkedIn right now, the first thing you should do is optimize for the 25 seconds. Do that. Keep posting for a while. You might want to do 30 posts. And then you look back and look at the trends, what's different about each one, and you can analyze them and go, oh, that one got more comments, that one got more likes, that one got more followers, that one got this. And then you can actually really analyze what content you should be producing, what should you be creating, for what purpose. Most people don't do this. What they do is they post emotionally. They post something because they feel it, and then they look at somebody else's content and go, oh, I want to do that too. So they make that. They're not really treating it as like business. They're not really treating it as a strategy. They're just following the wind. And it's a recipe for wasting time. Whereas if you start posting, and I'll give you an example. I've been building my TikTok, and it's by no means there, but it's way, way up on where it was. Massively up on where it was. I posted maybe 100 posts on TikTok just to figure out what people respond to, just to figure things out. You get really analytical about it, so then you can figure out that works, that doesn't work, that works, that doesn't work, and now you've got data to make content. But it all starts with optimizing for the 25 seconds, because some of you are rewriting posts that would fly. You've just not captured or figured out the ability and the tactics to actually stop people to scroll and actually read it. So I find people are tinkering with what should they post and changing all of their content strategy, when actually they should just do a couple of mechanics to fix how they're seen, make sure it's seen. So when you're posting this week, start thinking about the 25-second secret for LinkedIn. You'd be surprised, because that's probably the biggest fix for your content than anything else. Once you've done that, test, tweak, and adjust, and learn from what you've done.
Thanks for joining me on this episode of Mindset, Marketing and Money Podcasts. Don't forget to subscribe so you get notified about future episodes.